to a sacred place where we speak our truth, share our knowledge, and shatter limiting beliefs. We are your hosts, Vanessa and Isabel.
All right. So, how are you doing today?
Amazing.
Here, still in Chiang Mai, Thailand, in this beautiful nature garden area, right? Mm-hmm. Isn't that one of the reasons why you love Chiang Mai so much?
Yes, as valleys, I am.
In human design, you're wide valleys.
Yeah, in human design, I have wide valleys in my chart. And when it comes to nature, when it comes to greens and luscious vegetation and just being able to like literally see, I think that's a durian over there being cultivated by a tree. It's like that's source. That's from the source itself. And I love seeing that magic because we love living in the city. We love it. We love the hustle and bustle. We love the beautiful buildings, and it's everything. And just having a moment to like be in nature and see the system that it is and how it can go from like a tree to the table. It to me is like the perfect maturation cycle, which is also in my chart, and it just makes sense to me. It's like it just makes sense.
Yes.
Period.
And we'll get into human design in another future episode, but for those of you that do know human design or you're going to research it, Isabel is a 5-1 generator, and I'm a 4-6 emotional manifester. So I'm excited to get into that episode as well. But for this episode, I'm super excited and pumped up as well because we're going to continue to dive into in detachment, we are free. What does that mean to you? In detachment, we are free.
Well, I learned this because of you. In detachment, we are free. So when I think of that, I think of the micro and I also think of macro. So a micro example can be with this phone, for instance. Do I really need this phone? Can I leave the phone on the table and just wander about and be free? Absolutely. I am not attached to this phone. It is a tool. It is a device. It's separate from me. I am good on my own. Do I need to call somebody? If I need to call somebody, I can find someone. Hey, can I use your phone? Can I, there's ways to do it. On the macro level, the ability to just live and understand that your current situation is not your final situation, and whatever it is that you're living through will pass. Emotions are fluid, so look at it as a river. It may start, but it will always transcend into something else, which is always, once the rain comes, there will always be a sun shower or sunlight, and the sun will always come. I think about those things a lot, and I learned this when we were first in our infancy of our relationship. It's in detachment, we are free. And sometimes, let's say, because we have lived our lives together every single day since the moment we met, and I'm so grateful for that. Am I detached from you? Yes, we are two separate beings. Okay, we're not connected to the hip, but we are connected through the heart. So even if you are on the other side of the world, I know I'm always going to be connected to you. And I'm confident in that. There's a deeper knowing that I'm going to be okay. and you're going to be okay, and you will be okay too. So
Yeah, that was beautiful.
in detachment, we are free.
Yeah. I mean, I also look at in detachment, we are free, meaning like the separation, but nothing has that power over me or the control, you know? Because when we're attached to something, it has that power, it has the control. Like even our thoughts, you know, that's something that I learned. It's like our thoughts and the voices in our head that are not us, first of all, don't have power over us unless we put our agreement in them. Unless we put our attachment to them, saying that agreement, that attachment, but it has no power over me or control over me if I'm separate from them. You know, so that awareness is so powerful. And I feel like we live that in a lot of ways, even when it comes to something physical, like you mentioned, like even our clothes, our, like the material things around us, like the physical places, we're easy to detach from them and move somewhere else. Like we don't travel with a lot of stuff. And if we forget something, like I remember that one time I forgot on the plane, you know, I had like that nice Versace shirt that you gave me for my birthday and like a couple other nice shirts. Like we left them, but I'm like, is it gonna worth that hassle to call and wait? And so I was like, let's go, let's just move forward. Like those are things that like, we're detached from those materialistic things. Yeah, we love quality things, but it's not like we're attached to them, that it has control over us. So I think that is powerful in the way that if someone can move and really practice that, you know, at the end of the day, it's super powerful. And coming back to business as well, you know, because I know we're always talking about life and business. That's what I love, and entrepreneurship. In business, can you share when you learned about the difference when you felt you were attached to the business, like it was one, and then the separation, when you learned about the separation, and what that did for you?
Yes. So in the previous episode, we were talking about how when we transitioned our business and we started building systems around it, we realized that we can sell this business. There was a thought that came into our mind. We even got an offer to buy our business, and me personally, I took it like as a joke. But then it planted a seed for sure into what we needed to do. And I started, because I do have a line 1 in my chart. I didn't know this about myself, but when I do have that selective hearing, which we've talked about this, I go all in. I really investigate, and I find ways to understand. And that's something that I do love about myself, and I know that I got this from my mom. She loves to read. She loves to go in specific topics, and she becomes the expert.
Well, she's a 5-1 too. She has a one as well.
She is incredible. And when it came to selling the business, I was very nervous. I will not lie. I was very nervous because I felt like I was almost like doing something sneaky, you know, because we have not just our clients that we're, you know, helping them grow their business, but we're also involved in over 60 people, their lives, their families, their children, you know, their paycheck, whatever it is that they're thinking this business is going to be their forever job, you know. So by me having this, like, starting this separation and this detachment, it took a while for me. And then I started reading books on it. So I think it was Built to Last was one of the best books I've ever read, because it helped me understand the separation piece of having a business that you have built with other people, and then understanding that you can communicate that we want to sell this business to them, and this is how we're going to start doing things, and how it can actually lead to that, and how systems will always play a big role into making that transition. But most importantly, it's the mindset that goes behind the sale. You have to change your mind. You have to change your perspective of you're not just a business owner now, you are an investor. So that transformation within myself happened. It did not happen overnight, that's for sure. It has been years in the making, because once you look at your business as an investor, you start looking at the cracks. You start looking at the holes. You start looking at it's not butterflies and rainbows. And you start looking at your staff members as like, can you be as loyal to someone else? Can you deliver the same exact quality with a different leadership? Do you know where you want to go? Is this the right place? Even your clients, you start looking at them like, can I trust this other person with Stacy over here? I mean, can I? I start looking at the things differently, and those were the three main things. It's like the understanding that you have to change your mindset, reading, understanding that you have to start reading and looking at different material other than what you've already committed yourself over the past 4 years into learning. And then you have to start making the shifts, understanding that you have to see things in a different way so you can start creating in a different way. So once it's out of your head and onto paper, now you have a direction that you can move towards.
That's really awesome. So then we started to shift in that direction of putting those things in place and the communication that needed to be shared with the right people and, the systems. And it took us we didn't do it right away,
No.
but we started the process of looking at things differently and knowing that was what we were going to do.
Yeah.
So it's not like it happened overnight, but we were putting different things in place, and it didn't happen right away, and that's fine. But we even had some coaches. We hired a couple people to help us evaluation and different things. And I know we went to Europe. We did like a Euro tour in 2021. We left Florida, did a Euro tour.
I think 2020.
When the borders opened up. When the borders opened up.
Yeah,
right?
So we were in Florida for about a year and a half, and it was the craziest year and a half ever, because if you will, listen to the other episodes, you will know that we have like a 3 to 6 month time span before we jump on a plane and go explore somewhere. So a year and a half is a really long time for us to be in one place. We even renewed the contract to that apartment.
What were we thinking?
And we were like, what? Anyways, which was a blessing in itself. So the ability to have options it is freedom.
Yeah.
That is one of the levels of freedom, which I value very much. So the border started to open up in Europe. I remember I set the alarm and I was like, oh my God, we're gonna do this. And we started looking up flights, and we took a flight from Miami to Spain. Mm-hmm. And that began
we started in Madrid. That's where we went.
Madrid. Yeah. We went to Madrid. But that trip, because we were there for 8 months.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a little time, right?
Yeah.
That trip solidified the importance of having to sell. It became very clear to me that
How?
We needed to sell.
What do you mean by that? How?
When I was there in Madrid and Spain, because we went to Barcelona, we traveled to a couple different places.
In Italy.
There was moments where I'm looking at you, we're having a beautiful dinner, and it's just the cuisine and, the language and just, all of the magic that Italy has.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you get an email. How do I do this? Or how can I do, Stacy just said this, are we gonna do this? What a buzzkill. What? It just like an anchor. I'm I am standing strong. and they will figure it out, and they will do what needs to happen. And we really realized that we needed a leadership team very quickly, and the systems were working because obviously the business was running a lot without us, but the leadership was lacking without us. And that is the biggest transition into what I have to say, the most successful exits in the world. With strong leadership, you can sell anything. You can sell water to an Eskimo. You can sell ice to an Eskimo. You know, because that's what's like driving. It's like the
leadership team.
The leadership
that's in
team,
place.
the leadership team, the system, sure, you know, making sure everything is flowing correctly as it should. But without the right leadership, the right team in place, the right execution, you're just nothing but.
You have a job. You're pretty much, you have a job. More of like it's not sellable to some extent, right? And I mean, at that point, I remember being in Europe. It was a phenomenal trip, of course, but we weren't pushing, because we made the decision, we weren't marketing, we weren't pushing to bring so many new clients at that point, you know? We were kind of more, enjoying, you know, where we were at that point, and kind of...
Especially after going through the whole COVID thing. It wasn't the fact that it was COVID, and luckily, and I'm so grateful that our families were healthy, our families are happy, and, you know, if you did go through a hard time in COVID, we feel for you, because we do feel for you. And just like the sun just came out, the sun will always come out for you as well. And I don't want to diminish that, because it was a very intense time. I think the real reason why that trip was so important to us was because we knew deep down that we needed to make a change.
And it's time. It's like, you know, but then it's like you have this baby, your first baby that you've grown, put so much time, commitment. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like a lot of mixed emotions there.
It's like,
you know,
literally
unless you really separate it, enough is enough.
Yeah,
you know, and it's like, come on, the relationship that already has gone bad. Wow. It's already been toxic. You know,
I wouldn't go
not
that.
Toxic, but
I think it's more like when the kid learns how to walk. And the kid already learned how to ride the bicycle, and the kid understands that there's school tomorrow, but you are still waking up at 4 a.m. like, come on, Timmy, come on. Let's get to, no. Like, allow the kid to start independentizing themselves. Is that even a word? Becoming more independent on their own, you know? And we're still, like, latching on, like, can I go to school with you? Can I go to pre-K with you, Timmy? You know? That was, I feel like, in a way, what was happening. And slowly we're like, oh, wow, look at our kid. Wow. There he is in the playground. And wow, you just won an award? Wow. Good job, kid. Keep it going. You know? That's, I felt, how it was. And in that trip, Detachment, We Are Free, going back to that statement from the last episode, that's when I disconnected heavily from the business. I became Isabel, not Isabel from Ivy Leeds. I'm Isabel. And Ivy Leeds is a business. You know, because before that, that was a huge part of my entity.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Love that, love that. It's strong. It's deep, it's strong, and those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, or even a position in a company, think about it. Am I so attached to this identity? Am I that person? And it's hard for me to say, no, I'm not that label or that position or that, you know, business. You know?
If it's fueling you, if it's fueling every bit of your soul, freaking go for it. If you know that it's not fueling you anymore, and you know deep down you've already separated, get out. because you're doing a disservice for the other person.
Yeah.
Because I knew, like, for instance, just as a business owner, I knew when someone already quit 3 months before we let them go, or they decided to save face and, quit.
Yeah.
I knew.
Yeah.
So be the strong person. Have the courage. Stay true. Because it will come full circle.
Yeah.
If you say, hey, I'm no longer connected here. I don't feel it anymore, and I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
Detachment, we are free.
Yeah.
But also give grace to the other person,
Yeah.
because it's...
And I think that's important. And I wasn't speaking about like leaving. I was speaking about internally not attaching, because even if it's fueling you, that label or position, I'm not saying to like let go of that.
Okay.
I'm saying more of like eventually if you're so attached to that specific thing, if I'm attached to this label or position, I'm not really free, and it's going to be damaging at some point possibly.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it has power control over me. What if it is removed? What if it goes away? What, that I don't have control over, then I'm attached to that, at a level.
Absolutely.
So that's what I was referring to as far as that. But yeah, powerful. In detachment, we are free. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about, what are we talking about?
Well, in the next episode, we're going to be diving into like what happened after the Euro trip.
Okay.
Because even though that Euro trip was very magical for us and we had such a great time, we also learned 3 main things. That 1, we are detached from our business. 2, that we are no longer going to be involved in this business. And then 3, what are the next steps that we need to actually sell the business like tomorrow? That's what we were thinking of. And when we came back from the trip, that's what we're going to be talking about in the next episode.
Awesome. Sounds good. We'll see you there.
We are your hosts, Vanessa and Isabel.